What's the founding story? 3 years ago, you're like, all right, I'm doing it. It's going to be called Cleaning with a Meaning. I'm starting a business. Why? Tell me about that process.
Before this, I was a stay-at-home mom for 6 years straight. I now have four children. I had been with some MLMs before and kind of did some direct sales. And so I kind of navigated some of the social media world. I had somebody who I knew of who was doing cleaning on the side, and I didn't know any of the money or anything. I just know when I go over to family's house, it's super satisfying to help out. And I found myself like anxiously cleaning when I felt like I couldn't help.
For people that are struggling with this or aren't familiar or are kind of afraid of, Facebook groups or mom groups, how do you like navigate those waters?
You don't have to put on this like persona, but at the same time, I'm not trying to share like controversial things. So I try to keep my Facebook kind of reeled in. We all have our own opinions. We all have our own thoughts. And I feel a lot of people can get really bent out of shape. And so I try to just keep keep I can't even say authenticity.
All right, welcome to another edition of the Superpro podcast, the heartbeat of home service excellence. I'm Roland Leidenberg, I'm your host, and I'm the co-founder of House Call Pro, and I'm an advocate of all the hardworking pros out there making our homes better, safer, and more comfortable. Through House Call Pro, I've had the privilege of helping hundreds of thousands of pros just like you, empowering you guys to achieve more, stress less, and redefine success in our industry. I'm super excited because we've got a great guest here. Alexis Dinsmore Orris isn't just running a cleaning business, she's building a movement. As the owner and operator of Cleaning with Meaning, she's found a way to turn cleaning into a trusted local service, setting new standards in Lansing, Michigan. She started from scratch 3 years ago. She now has a team of 4. She's got a revenue goal of 90K this year, which is double from last year. She's found a new mindset and clarity on her numbers with the help of a business coach. We're going to ask some questions around that. And she's got ambitious plans to thrive and grow beyond that. We're going to be talking about some of the ways she's navigating her growth, some setbacks, and everything in between. Welcome to the show, Alexis.
Hi, happy to be here.
Nice. So Cleaning with a Meaning, what's the founding story? 3 years ago, you're like, all right, I'm doing it. It's going to be called Cleaning with a Meaning. I'm starting a business. Why? Tell me about that process.
Before this, I was a stay-at-home mom for 6 years straight. I now have four children. But when I was starting, I had only three. I had nothing to add to a resume, and I had no idea where to even start. I had been with some MLMs before and kind of did some direct sales. And so I kind of navigated some of the social media world. I had somebody who I knew of who was doing cleaning on the side, and I didn't know any of the money or anything. I just know when I go over to family's house, it's super satisfying to help out. And I found myself like anxiously cleaning when I felt like I couldn't help. And it was great. I was not burning myself out the way I would if I cleaned my own house. And so a friend was like, hey, you should do this. And I was like, oh no, I don't know. I don't know about that. My husband unexpectedly lost his job. And so we were like scrambling. He was like the breadwinner. And we're like, how are we going to pay our bills? We bought a house in 2021. I was like, I do not want to screw with a mortgage but getting behind. I'm not trying to be like that filing bankruptcy. If you have, oh my gosh, that sounds so scary. But, yeah, so I was like, how are we going to make up for this? And I was like hemming and hawing, and I was finally like, all right, we're doing it. So I just posted to Facebook and was like in some of our local groups and was like, who wants their house cleaned? Mom of four and looking to make up for income. And a couple people commented. And so I started with a like acquaintance of mine. She had here and there for date nights babysat with my kids. So she's like, I would do it with you. So we kind of started out together. She was more interested in becoming like an actual nanny. And I was like, oh girl, I want to scale up. Like, I like this. I'm going to keep doing it. So we parted ways. I had no idea how to even pick a name. That was like the most stressful part for me. I had a couple ideas. And yeah, so I narrowed it down and finally was like, you know what, this fits kind of what I want to do. I want to help people who just aren't physically able to, or maybe they don't have the time. And that'll be the basis of it. And so I kind of just started. I found out shortly after starting that I was pregnant. So starting out was definitely really hard. I was exhausted, and husband, like I said, lost his job. So we have like stress at home. I'm like not feeling the best, but I pushed through. I actually cleaned until 3 days before I had her. So that was insanity. And
Wow.
then it was nice. I had a tech on, so she took over the workload, while I was off, which thank God. And yeah, we've just kept going from there. I filled her schedule, and once hers was at capacity, I started filling mine up. And once I got a full schedule for myself, I would hire another person and pass that schedule on to them. And it's kind of where we're at now.
So how are you finding like people? Cleaning, it seems like an easy job, but it also seems like something like high turnover. And you sound like you've got high standards in the way you like things done. So how are you finding the right people for your team?
I'm not going to lie, there has been plenty of clients that I find that we just don't work out, whether I'm not their style or they're not my style. So we have parted ways with some, but I'm finding the most success through things like Facebook and referrals. So I have my own referral program. I know House Call Pro partners with like a company that does referrals and whatnot, but I had something implemented already. And so I just talked to clients and was like, hey, so if you refer someone to me, you will get an hour of cleaning for free. And if they mention your name, they're going to get it too. And so everybody's just kind of funneled their way in. And when I find our schedule is a little slow, especially around the holidays, I'll go to some local Facebook groups for our area and I'll just post a before and after of something gross, like a toilet or a garbage disposal catch, because I'll clean under the catches of those and
Mhm.
people eat those up. They love them. And so, yeah, we just social media it out.
Yeah, no, I feel like, both finding good people to work for your business, finding people to do work for are like key skills that any business owner needs. When you're on Facebook, this is a really great channel for you because the acquisition cost is low. You're not advertising, you're actually going
Mhm.
out there and interacting with these Facebook groups. For people that are struggling with this or aren't familiar or are kind of afraid of Facebook groups or mom groups, how do you like navigate those waters?
So for me, we have one really big dominant group in our area that I follow the closest. And I notice like a lot of different moms will post things they're getting rid of. And so I'll tag a friend or whatever. And I try to keep it more personable. So that way they kind of almost like feel like they relate with me. And I don't feel like I'm going out there and being like fake. Like you don't have to put on this like persona. But at the same time, I'm not trying to share like controversial things. So I try to keep my
Mhm.
Facebook kind of reeled in. We all have our own opinions. We all have our own thoughts. And I feel a lot of people can get really bent out of shape. And so I try to just keep I can't even say authenticity.
Authenticity, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Tough word.
And yeah, I just try and keep my algorithms up when it comes to the posts. Trying to encourage people to comment. I know 3 words or more can help boost comment
Yep.
sections so that more people see it. Different things like that. So I'm just interacting with stuff. Somebody's dog got loose, and if I saw it or if I'm like, hey, so and so just mentioned a dog, I don't know if it matches, like I'm in the comments. My names are all over there. And I'm going to be honest, I only spend maybe an hour in total from the time I'm awake until bedtime, even on Facebook. So I'm replying to as much as I can, and I'm like making a post if it's needed and just scrolling. If it's like, hey, we're looking for a cleaner, I drop our name, a picture of my business card, and make the connection. I try not to like cold call, cold message, because a lot of
Mhm.
people had those MLMs going on back in the day. Everybody makes fun of them now, but they were like, hey, girl. Hey, what's up? Haven't talked to you since high school, and I did not want to be that person. So I try to just be genuine so that way they're not like
Mhm.
gagging as they're reading my message, and it's like a breath of fresh air instead of they're dreading what my message says.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I think that for sure, I feel like Facebook, you have to be authentically yourself and you have to not constantly be pitching. And even if you're not necessarily adding like a ton of value, just being an active user also gets you those little Facebook badges. So like top contributor or like
mhm.
et cetera. And so those things kind of pop up and you have to earn those like on a per group basis. And then I think, when you're on there, it seems like you don't have to spend hours and hours, but you can even spend like 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the middle of the day, maybe when you're driving or just like waiting for your food or whatever happens to be. Like, I think a lot of people are like, oh no, I have to spend hours a day on Facebook
Mm-mm.
trying to like drum up business. It doesn't sound like that's what you're doing.
No, I try to, and like I said, I have 4 kids, so it's chaos. I might not even be able to give it my full attention when I'm doing it if I'm at home. But just going through and it's like, oh, this page near me said they're looking for a cleaner. Here's their budget. And I'm like, oh, does that fit? Does that not? Well, I'd like to hear more information. Like, feel free to shoot me a message and I'll see if we're fit. And I like to
Mhm.
say it like that. So that way it's like, hey, if you're saying your budget is like $10 or, $100 and you want this full all day, or you have a hoarder house, like obviously that's not going to align with my budget, but I'm willing to hear anyone out. And I mean, I do give away free cleanings here and there. So there's somebody who goes on the list. If it works, it works. But yeah, I know another good thing that was recommended, that way you're not like constantly out there like pitching to others. You're not blurbing it all over your page, was like following a 511 rule or like an 811 rule. So for every like 5 posts,
Mm.
you can give like one business post, one like, hey, we're hiring post. I find nowadays an 811 is more successful. So just sharing, oh, this was like a funny little meme. Oh, here's like something we did this week. I like to do for my kids like my son just played on U of M's football field last night. And so I was like, oh my gosh, everybody wish him luck. And it was one of his awesome football pictures we've not shared with anybody. And so everybody was in there commenting. It got well over 100 comments just wishing my 9-year-old luck. And it was like a scrimmage. It wasn't even a big deal. And so stuff like that helps you get seen. You could even go further with it. I could probably blab all
No,
day.
no, I like it because I think everyone always thinks, oh no, like I have to be like my business persona, every single time I post. But I think your strategies, particularly in these like Facebook groups, is you're just yourself. And sure, you happen to have a business, but you're also happen to be a mother of four, and you happen to be at like
Mhm.
a football game, or you happen to be doing this. And so I think people will connect with you, especially in a service that's more personal, like home cleaning.
Mhm.
You're going to be inside their homes, and or your team
Exactly.
is going to be in there. So they want to know like what type of person you are. And if they're like, oh yeah, like she's busy mom and like all these things, they're probably going to be,
More
a little more
forgiving.
understanding and
Yeah.
more forgiving. And like, that helps in a lot of different ways. And I feel like a lot of people are like, well, I'm HVAC. Like, I can't just keep posting about like water heaters and about,
Hmm.
heating and air. And it's just like, it's hard to come up with so many ideas that drive attention. But like the football thing, I mean, that's great. I love that. And I love that use of Facebook and kind of being personal to get,
Right.
I don't know, just people to recognize your name. It had nothing to do with your business.
My
I'll say the other piece
husband's,
too, which is, go ahead.
sorry. My husband's an electrician, and so he was like trying to make sure he had all his correct licensing when he was starting up himself, because in Michigan you have to work under a master, and there's like a whole bunch of juggling. He can't just open up a company if he's only a journeyman and just do his thing. Like he's got to have people. So like trying to navigate that was tricky, but then he's like, I can't just post a before and after. Like I don't have a toilet to post a photo of. So it's more so like showcasing like a photo of the really clean work he did, as long as he has homeowner's permission
Mm-hmm.
and whatnot. And I'm thinking like right now we have the holidays, people are hanging up holiday lights. We're having, roasting pans you have to set out and stuff. So my brain immediately went to, hey, why don't you set up some sort of like, hey, we'll come out for like a very cheap budgeted price, make sure everything's working. That way, before you're tripping all sorts of circuits, like your breakers, we can make sure you've got it set to have Thanksgiving there. And so like my brain is constantly just going, and it may not work for him, but I'm like, here's an idea, and throwing it out. So I feel like you can make it fit pretty well to whatever you need.
Yeah, I love that you're incorporating just like seasons into ideas around what you can post. And I feel like those types of posts do particularly well because everyone's thinking about those. And so
Mm-hmm.
people want to see those things, and those will get the attention, and that will jump up in the algorithm, right? That'll jump up in the feed. And then
Yeah.
a lot of people are like, well, Roland, what good has it to do? Like if I post something personal about like my kid at a football game, like why does that matter? And what Facebook does on the cover is like, if Alexis is always posting things and are always getting a lot of comment, the likelihood of our next post getting more comments is great. So what that means is if you make another post, Facebook will automatically give your post more attention to more people because you've been getting a lot of engagement and traction on your other posts. And so don't think that just because you're only a business, you only post the business things, because most people won't really react to that. So I would just say, in general, don't be afraid. I think your golden nugget of just be authentic, and then keep it kind of seasonal and just put things out there about yourself, even if it's like a personal life. If it's in your area, it's your community. It's your community, whether you
Yep.
work there or just live there. So those are some awesome tips. What about, as you're building your business, how did you find out about House Call Pro? How did you stumble? And when were you like, okay, no, I need this now to help me? Like, what was that moment?
So I will be totally transparent. I came from like MLM, so I was used to people trying to sell to me all the time. And you would getting like those, hey girl, happy birthday, here's a discount thing. And so I joined a couple cleaning groups, and I was like, okay, we'll see what we can grab, tips, tricks, hacks, whatever, what somebody else is doing that's working, what we should absolutely avoid. And someone reached out to me just randomly and was like, hey, can I pick your brain? And I was like, about what? Where are you even from? She was like in my spam. So I like humored her. I responded. Um, and she was a cleaner, and we went back and forth and just messages for a couple days. And she was like, actually, in the middle of this, she's like, I just joined with this new system and I'm super confused, but have you heard of it? And it was House Call Pro. And I was like, no, what in the world? She's like, I'm going to throw you in a group chat with somebody on Facebook and give your thoughts, or maybe she'll run her spiel. I don't know, but this is who got me into it. So I was like, okay, cool. Little on edge because I didn't want to be sold to. I was like, oh no, she wants me to schedule a demo. What's a demo? And so we got in. I humored her. I put it in my calendar. They said that it would be like an all-in-one system, that it would replace my Square that I'm using for invoicing, that I wasn't going to have to add my text to my Apple Calendar, and then like just chaotic. And then if somebody didn't have Apple Calendar, then I'm like trying to navigate like a Google Calendar and an Apple Calendar, and it was too much. So during this, everything was all in one place and my jaw hit the floor. I was like, okay, I love that. And then she shared that you could apply to have your own phone number and that clients didn't have to be blowing up my phone. And I was like, okay, sign me up. And the price point for me, I was used to like navigating like 5 free apps. And so then I was like, ooh, I don't know, that looks a little steep. But after 1 month of trying it, like I was sold. There was no way I was even going back. No way at all. So that's kind of how I found it and got in. And I don't care if I have to ever file, good Lord, may this never happen, but like for bankruptcy, or I just go broke, I will not lose my House Call Pro. That is like, it's tripled my business from where I was at when I was first starting without it to now. And it's so much less headache. So
that's awesome. Yeah. I mean, for a lot of folks that are out there, there's a ton of free apps, and just remember that like nothing's free for spending like a lot of time trying to like move stuff from one to the other and like copy and paste from one to the other. And then you forget. And then the client's like, you're supposed to be here. And then you lose that job. And all of a sudden it's cost you a lot more than free. And so I think, yeah, definitely for starting business owners out there, you know, when you're building your business, this is your baby, and treat it right and invest in it. Like you can spend, you know, what you would spend on your cell phone bill on a piece of software that will literally run your business, like alongside you. That apprehension's real, and it makes sense because it's hard sometimes to figure out, well, if something's free, like why would I pay for something that's free? But a lot of it has to do with your time. And I feel like you described it earlier in the call too, which is like, once your calendar is filled, you're like, I know I need to hire someone else. And then so you hire someone else, and you give them your schedule, and then you try to fill up your schedule again. And so you're just doing that same thing. You're just delegating tasks. What's something with House Call Pro that, now that you know more about House Call Pro, you're using it for a little bit, what's something you wish, like a feature you would have started out with, like right out of the gate?
Right out of the gate, I wish I would not have given people my personal cell phone number because sometimes a client will be thinking, or they'll like be scrolling, like doom scrolling, right? And they're finding my information, and then they're sending me a text message, and it's late as heck. And my brain does not let go of the task until it's complete. It is on my brain, and it is stressing me out until it's completed. And so having that like notification sitting there with a text message, like almost gives me a stomach ache. And so that was the first feature I was in love with. Like that was my right out of the get. I was like, cool. It sent reminders for me right away. And it's still going to my phone. I still see it and I can access it, but my brain is able to like, okay, we're outside of business hours, and like compartmentalize and ship it off until tomorrow at 9 a.m. So I loved that.
Yeah. And I think too, for business owners, at a certain point, like you want to be able to step away, take a vacation, or have a date night, or whatever it is. And once you get out your own cell phone, it's hard to untangle that mess. And so with House Call Pro, you get a unique number where those texts all come through, so you don't have to do that. Same with VoIP too. That's another way that you can use House Call Pro to make sure that your number's not out there and other people can answer the phone for you. Uh-oh. We're back. Oh, okay, we're back. Okay, good. I don't know what happened there. It said like reconnecting or something like that. But what I was saying is that with VoIP 2, inside of House Call Pro, you know, first you get your own text number that you can text back and forth. But if you do the House Call Pro voice, then you can also set up ring groups. You can have multiple people on the ring groups. So that way, if it isn't late at night, you can transfer to a different set of people, you know, that can help you answer the phone too. And you can do different rotations and all kinds of fun stuff. So you've learned a lot so far building this business. What's one like parting gift of wisdom or golden nugget that you wish you could have told yourself 3 years ago? If you could kind of, you know, jump in the DeLorean, go back in the future, and tell your younger self, Alexis, you should just do this. What would it be?
Stop doubting yourself. Just get serious fast, because what are you afraid of? I was like so terrified of like filing an LLC. Oh my gosh, that's expensive. And then the next one was like insurance. I have to sign up for a monthly bill. What if something happens? It's a no-brainer. It was so easy. So once I did that, it was great. And then the next step was like, oh my gosh, House Call Pro. And then the second I did it, I was like, this is great. And now like here I am, like same with business coaching class. I was like, that's an extra expense. Do I really have it? And now that I'm in it, I'm only a couple sessions in, but I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you didn't know these things. That makes sense. And so just stop doubting yourself. Just do it. Just take the leap of faith. It's easier to be like, oh, ooh, I didn't like that than it is to like always wonder. So, yeah.
I love it. You're definitely, wisdom for your age is high. You've got so many good golden nuggets. You've learned so much already. And that's a great piece of advice, is just don't doubt yourself. And for all the other pros out there listening, we're going to have another special guest a week from now. Tune in again to the Superpro podcast. Alexis, thank you so much for coming on and talking with me and sharing some of that wisdom. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me on here.
See you.
The Superpro podcast is brought to you by House Call Pro, the leading platform for the home service industry. House Call Pro streamlines your workflows and simplifies everything from scheduling and dispatching to communication and billing. Unlock the full potential of your home service business with House Call Pro. Work smarter and more efficiently with streamlined workflows and detailed analytics. Win more business and serve your customers well, every single time. Join more than 40,000 home service pros who have already revolutionized their businesses. Work smarter with streamlined workflows, get organized with centralized information, and scale your business your way. Learn more at housecallpro.com.